Noah's head teacher suddenly stopped me. Mr. Chris, does Noah have a twin brother? A parent just brought a boy who looks exactly like him to ask. Impossible. He's an only child, and his mother died 7 years ago. I clenched Noah's hand, my voice trembling. The head teacher handed me a photo. The parent's name is Simon. He says he's the child's biological father. Simon? I had never heard that name before. As soon as I walked out of the school gate, I saw Jessica. I rushed over and grabbed her. Jessica, you're not dead? Why did you lie to me for 7 years? She pulled her hand away, her eyes cold. Sir, you've got the wrong person. I pointed at Noah and shouted, this is Noah, our son. How dare you say you don't recognize him? Her face changed slightly, and she turned to leave. Keep bothering me, and I'll call the police. I froze on the spot. My phone suddenly vibrated. I answered the unknown call, and Jessica's voice came through with an eerie smile. Chris, do you really think Noah is your child? Today is the 7th anniversary of Jessica Scott's death, and also the day I'm taking Noah to register for elementary school. Noah's autism has fully healed. Over these 7 years, I've poured every ounce of strength into raising him, just to give him some closure. Just as we were about to finish the registration, the head teacher suddenly stopped me. Mr. Chris Lynn, may I ask if Noah has a twin brother? I was stunned for a moment, then quickly shook my head. No, Noah is an only child. His mother passed away 7 years ago. The head teacher looked puzzled and handed me a photo. But earlier, a parent brought a child who looks exactly like Noah and asked if Noah had arrived. I stared at the face in the photo, identical to Noah's, and my heart suddenly sank. What's the name of that parent? My voice was trembling. I think it's Simon Lewis, said to be the child's biological father. Simon Lewis? I had never heard that name before, but that photo of the twins hit me like a hammer, leaving me dazed and disoriented. I held Noah's hand and walked out of the school, my mind completely blank, until a familiar yet strange figure appeared not far away. It was Jessica Scott. She wore an off-white dress, exactly the same as 7 years ago, but her eyes held a hint of distance. I quickened my pace and grabbed her wrist. Jessica Scott, you're not dead? Why have you lied to me for 7 years? She yanked her hand away fiercely, frowning deeply, her tone icy cold. Sir, you have the wrong person. I am not Jessica Scott. Wrong person. I pointed at Noah. Look at him. He's Noah, our son. How could you possibly be mistaken? I told you, I am not Jessica Scott. If you keep bothering me, I'll call the police. After saying that, she turned and walked away, without a hint of hesitation. I watched her retreating back, chills running down my spine. Noah tugged at my sleeve. Dad, who was that? I crouched down and gently patted his head, forcing down the ache in my heart. It's nothing. You must have mistaken me for someone else. That night, I called Jessica Scott on the number from 7 years ago, and to my astonishment, the call actually went through. Jessica, we need to talk. Let's meet at the usual place. I did my best to keep my voice steady. There was a few seconds of silence before she finally said, all right, 8 p.m. at the villa. That villa was our former home, where Jessica and I used to live. After she left, I never had the heart to change a thing, and the code was still set to our anniversary date. At exactly 8 p.m., I arrived at the villa's door and entered the code, but it showed as incorrect. I lost again. Still wrong. I took out my mobile phone to call her, but it said it was turned off. In that moment, I realized she hadn't just deceived me for 7 years. She had completely erased everything we once shared. The password had been changed. I didn't leave. I crouched outside the villa door all night. I needed to know what secret she was hiding. The next morning, the villa door opened. The servant came out to take out the trash, and I seized the chance to slip inside. The living room was warm and cozy. Jessica Scott, dressed in loungewear, was eating with a child who looked exactly like Noah. Simon Lewis sat nearby, gently serving her food. The sight of the family of 3 was painfully glaring. Jessica Scott's face changed instantly when she saw me. Chris Lynn, how did you get in? Who let you in? Why can't I come in? I stepped toward her, my gaze drifting to the child. What's his name? What is his relation to Noah? Simon Lewis set down his chopsticks, stood up, and positioned himself in front of Jessica. His tone was arrogant. Mr. Lynn, this is my home. Please leave, or I will call the police. Your home? I sneered. I bought this villa for Jessica Scott. How could it be your home? Jessica Scott took a deep breath, her eyes flickering away, but she forced herself to say, Chris Lynn, I admit it, I'm not dead. I've been lying to you for 7 years. Why? I stared into her eyes. I never treated you badly. Noah is your son too. Why would you do this to us? There's no reason. She turned her face away. I never loved you. Being with you is only for your money. For money. A sharp pain stabbed my heart. So 7 years ago, when you said you loved me, when you said you'd be with me forever, that was all a lie? It's all fake. Her words sliced through all my obsessions like a sharp knife. I'm with Simon now, and I'm happy. Don't bother us anymore. Bother you. I recalled all the money I'd spent on her and the suffering I'd endured. The money I gave you, and this villa, either you return them, or I'll sue you for fraud. I won't return it, she refused sharply. That money was voluntarily given by you, as compensation for the 7 years I spent with you. Anger shook me to my core as I turned toward the bedroom, determined to fetch our marriage certificate to prove this villa was our joint property. I searched every cabinet but couldn't find the marriage certificate. In the end, I found a yellowed fake marriage certificate inside an old box. So, from the very beginning, it was all a deception. The servant brought a glass of lemonade and placed it before me. Jessica Scott casually said, have some water, calm down. I looked at the glass of lemonade, my stomach turning. I'm severely allergic to lemons. I've told her countless times, but she never took it seriously. Jessica Scott, you forgot I'm allergic to lemons, yet you still dare say you ever truly cared for me, even for a second? She was momentarily stunned, then said, said indifferently, "It's been so long. How could I still remember such trivial things?" Trivial things? In her eyes, all my likes and dislikes were just trivial things. I didn't argue any further. I turned and walked out of the villa. At that moment, all my love turned into disgust. Back home, Noah was already asleep. Looking at his innocent little face, I couldn't help but feel tears welling up in my eyes. I sat on the sofa, scrolling through the photos of Jessica Scott and me on my mobile phone. Scenes from the past flashed through my mind like a movie. When we first got together, she always said she would cook for me every day, making all the dishes I loved. But in 7 years, she never once cooked a meal for me. Even when I was sick with a fever, she would just order takeout and then go shopping with her friends. Back then, I foolishly thought she was just spoiled and didn't like doing housework. It wasn't until today that I realized it wasn't that she didn't want to cook, it was that she didn't want to cook for me. I couldn't help but open WeChat and searched for Simon Lewis's account. To my surprise, he hadn't set any privacy restrictions. His moments were open to the public. His social feed is filled entirely with photos of Jessica Scott and that child. There are pictures of Jessica in the kitchen cooking for him, wearing an apron, her smile soft, eyes full of love, photos of the three of them at an amusement park, Jessica holding the child's hand, Simon Lewis embracing her from behind, and on his birthday, a cake Jessica made with her own hand, captioned, "For the rest of my life, it's all you." Every single photo tells me that Jessica wasn't incapable of tenderness, nor unable to cook. It's just that all that warmth and favoritism never belonged to me. I remember once working late into the night. When I came home, I was starving, so hungry I felt like my chest was pressed against my back, and hoped she would make me a bowl of noodles. She was lying on the sofa watching a show and said impatiently, "Go cook it yourself. I'm not your servant. Why should I make you dinner?" I didn't argue. I went to the kitchen and cooked the noodles myself. At that moment, I was still making excuses for her, thinking she was simply too tired. Looking back now, it's truly both laughable and tragic. I tossed my mobile phone aside, leaned back on the sofa, and couldn't hold back my tears. 7 years of obsession, 7 years of dedication, and in the end, it was all just a carefully orchestrated lie. I even began to doubt, was Noah really my child? Once the seed of doubt is planted, it grows uncontrollably. Early the next morning, I took Noah to the hospital for a paternity test. I needed to know if he was truly my son. During the blood draw, Noah held my hand tightly and whispered, "Dad, why do we have to get blood drawn? Am I sick?" I gently touched his head, fighting back the ache in my heart. "No, Noah isn't sick. He's just getting a checkup and will be fine soon." Noah nodded, half understanding, and didn't ask any more questions. After the test, the doctor said the results would take 3 days to come back. Those 3 days stretched out before me like an endless century. I was restless all day, sometimes terrified that Noah wasn't really my son, and other times desperately hoping it was all some kind of mistake. That afternoon, I couldn't resist opening Simon Lewis's Moments again. He had posted a new update. In the photo, Jessica Scott was holding the child, with Simon Lewis's arm around her shoulder. The caption read, "Two treasures, a lifelong love. How fortunate I am to have you both in this life." 2 treasures? Could he really consider that child and Noah both as his own treasures? The more I thought about it, the more unsettling it felt, so I called my best friend, Dylan Collins. "Dylan, do you know Simon Lewis?" Dylan paused for a moment. "Simon Lewis? Yes, I know him. He's in the building materials business, comes from a wealthy family." "Why do you ask? Do you know about him and Jessica Scott?" I asked. "Jessica Scott? Your wife who passed away 7 years ago?" Dylan Collins's voice was full of surprise. "Of course I know. 2 years ago, Simon Lewis bragged at a friend's gathering that his wife had given birth to identical twin sons who looked exactly alike and were especially adorable." Twin sons. My heart clenched suddenly. How long ago did he say that? "About 5 years ago." Dylan paused to think. "At the time, he even showed us photos. I thought the boy looked somewhat familiar back then. Now that I think about it, he does bear some resemblance to Noah." After hanging up, a chill ran through my entire body. 5 years ago, when Noah was 3, which means both Noah and that child are Simon Lewis's sons. From the very beginning, Jessica Scott married me carrying Simon Lewis's child. She deceived me for 7 years and took so much money from me as well. I can't bear to imagine